Now we're going to talk about the final step after importing and organizing the project that we need to do before we start editing in Premiere, and that is to create a sequence, also referred to as the timeline. Those terms will be used interchangeably because the timeline window here is where the sequence is created. The sequence stands for sequence of clips that are put together, organized in the timeline to create the edit or the project. You can come here to this, click and say new sequence here, and you're going to get this very sort of foreboding window here. What the problem is with this window is that this is where you would have to know exactly what kind of video you were using. Now, if you know that it's coming, you're shooting with a Canon XF camera, or you've shot with cameras that take AVC HD, there's AVC HD with 1080i, 1080p, 720p. The problem with doing it this way is you have to know exactly what kind of video that you shot with, and that makes up the majority of your project. If you set these settings wrong, it can cause problems in your project. So rather than creating a sequence this way, if you'll notice over here it says drop media here to create sequence. So all you need to do is go to your video, and you want to choose your video and not your audio, and take any shot. Now if you have multiple formats that you're using, you want to choose the one that's the majority of the video in your project. If you shot in HD and you have a couple of SD shots that you need to use, you still want to create the sequence as an HD sequence. So, and vice versa. If you're going to do an SD sequence and you have one HD shot that you're going to down convert to SD, create the sequence as a standard definition sequence. But with that said, let's go ahead and do it. Let's grab this one piece of video. All the video in here in this particular project is the same, so we're just going to create one sequence without worrying about any of those complications. And just drop it in here. And it creates a sequence here. Now the sequence has the same name as the piece of video that created it, so let's go ahead and change that. Let's just call this Rainforest version 1. Okay, and then we might want to also drag this out, just drag it to the left and left of the bin here and drop it outside. And let me just expand this. I'm going to hit the tilde key, close up the video here. You see the sequence is outside here. Let's just go ahead and make a bin. Let's just right click, new bin, call it sequences. As you can have as many sequences as you like inside a particular project. And let's grab this rainforest sequence, drop it in here. Hit the tilde key again to go back to the normal interface. Now we don't need this piece of video on the timeline. It was just put there to get the settings. And let's double check what we actually did here, but let's go ahead and delete that. We just use that to make the sequence. But if we flip down and right click on this video piece and go to properties, you'll see that it's a 720 by 480 standard def 2997 with audio at 48 kilohertz 16-bit stereo. That's the type of video that this piece is. And if we go here to our sequence now and also right click and do properties, you'll see it's also set to 720 by 480, 29.97 frames per second, and the audio is set to 48 kilohertz stereo. So that means that any editing that we do, we're not going to run into any problems. We have everything matched up, and now we're ready to begin editing with Premiere Pro.